Hi fans of high quality entertainment. I'm just making sure my hair is perfect like it always is. Today's video is another idea I came up with. No one else in the whole universe has ever come up with this idea. Bands versus bands, or solo artists. So what I've done here is I've made a list of 20, actually 21, bands and artists, solo artists. And so it's one band versus another band, and which of those two bands do you like the most, if you've heard both bands? Most of these artists are pretty popular. So here we go. I was thinking for a second, okay? And these aren't in any, I just made a list, threw them together. Number 1. The Beatles, or the Rolling Stones, or versus. I think most people would choose the Beatles, but of course there's going to be some that choose Rolling Stones, so I'm very curious if you're on the side of the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. I of course have to choose the Beatles, but that being said, the Rolling Stones were pretty damn good through the years, especially in the 60s and the 70s. Lou Reed versus Frank Zappa. Oh. That is a hard one for me to choose. It really, that is a difficult one. Some of these are difficult, and I forgot to tell you that. I don't want to choose. Overall, for enjoyment, I would, and it's without including the Velvet Underground, by the way. It's just Lou Reed's solo career, and Frank Zappa with the Mother's Invention and solo. I'm going to have to go with Frank Zappa, just because he had, I think he had a bit more material through the years than Lou Reed did. Grand Funk Railroad versus Blue Oyster Cult. These are possibly, more than likely, my two favorite American bands, along with Creedence Clearwater Revival, actually, and of course Sparks. But I don't consider Sparks a band. It's kind of weird with Sparks, but for an actual group of guys, let's say, Grand Funk Railroad versus Blue Oyster Cult, I love them almost the same. But if I had to make a choice, I think I would side with Blue Oyster Cult, because I've been listening to their later albums and I'm really impressed with them. And I'm going to be having an updated ranking and review of all of their albums soon, I believe. So Blue Oyster Cult for me. Sparks versus Devo. For me it's easily Sparks, but I love Devo. I love early Devo, I'd say the first three or four albums of Devo I really love. XTC versus Talking Heads. I love both bands, but I would have to choose Talking Heads. Ramones versus Green Day. Easy choice for me. Easy. Ramones. And some of these artists are kind of similar, in their genres, and maybe some aren't as much, but it's just two artists kind of thrown together for the most part, just for fun. Motorhead versus Metallica. Motorhead all the way. Patti Smith versus Iggy Pop. Patti Smith. Easy. But I like some Iggy Pop songs. This next one, I thought the Grand Funk versus Blue Oyster Cult would be difficult, but this one is even more difficult. Yes versus Genesis. That is, seriously, I've even done a video on that, and at the time I think I chose Genesis, but of course I've listened to a lot more Genesis. I mean, a lot more Yes in the last couple of years than Genesis, but I love Genesis. Even the Phil Collins years, there's some great, great songs like Keep It Dark, Mama. But I'm going to have to go, I think I'm going to have to go with Yes because of John Anderson's vocals. Of course, Peter Gabriel is a great singer, and Phil Collins too, but I choose Yes. Just by a slim margin. ZZ Top versus Creedence Clearwater Revival. I love both bands. Both have a lot of great songs, but I will have to go with Creedence Clearwater Revival. So this is two bands that aren't really that similar, but they're kind of thrown together. Electric Light Orchestra versus Jethro Tull. Which band do you like more? I like... That's a difficult one. They're not my favorite bands, but I still love a lot of their music, both of them. But I'm going to have to go with Jethro Tull on that one. Deep Purple versus AC/DC. I choose AC/DC. This is one I can't choose because I haven't heard one of the bands. But some of you have heard both, and be interesting to hear your choice. Both have the same lead singer. Tool versus A Perfect Circle. T-Rex versus Roxy Music. I've heard some Roxy Music, and their first album I've listened to recently on Spotify, and it sounds like... What is that? It sounds good. But I think I love the T-Rex album, The Slider, and Bang a Gong, Get It On. So I'll choose T-Rex. Elton John versus Van Morrison. I love all of the early stuff by Elton John, all the 70s albums and all that. I used to buy them. But Van Morrison is my choice out of the two. I have Jethro Tull twice. It doesn't matter. Jethro Tull versus the Moody Blues. I would choose Jethro Tull again. The Kinks versus the Beach Boys. I would choose... There's certain albums by both bands and certain songs by both bands I absolutely love, but I would have to probably choose the Kinks. The Velvet Underground versus the Stooges. Easily the Velvet Underground. The Pretenders versus Blondie. I would choose... Blondie had some great songs, but I would have to choose the Pretenders. And the final two. The Guess Who... A Canadian poll here. The Guess Who versus Bachman-Turner Overdrive. I would choose... Bachman-Turner Overdrive is great, a lot of great songs, but I would choose the Guess Who. And I kind of threw this in as number 21. And then I actually did a reaction video for the one artist. I'm uploading it now. Elvis Costello versus Elvis Presley. I would choose Elvis Costello, but nothing wrong with Elvis Presley, especially if you watch my reaction video I'm uploading. It should be online now. Go watch it. But yeah, Elvis Costello for me. And that's it. I'm really looking forward to your choices in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.